2.5. Almost 1. Near 1.
Oh, they don't know what you're
Near
talking
1.
about.
It's near 1 in the universe.
Near one.
Near one.
Near one, welcome.
Near 1, almost. Hi, folks. Well, welcome back to you who are looking at us, who are watching us, and who care at all about what we have to say. So, what we have to say is what we care about. What do you have to say?
That's right.
Do you have to say anything? Anyway,
So far, very good podcast.
yeah, what we're going to talk about today is
Your bracelet came.
what we have going on in our own group here is a pass a walking to a moving to slowly to a death. That is moving to someone who is going to transition into another
Realm.
state of being, and from there probably into another life. But when that is or where it is, who knows? Nobody knows except they will find out what that is. Anyway, I'm supposed to talk about how I feel. It's my wife. It's passing. Also, my brother is passing, and it's a presumption on my wife's part. She's a very strong Norwegian descent, and she tends to cycle. She's sick and then she's better. She's sick and then she's better. My brother, on the other hand, has not been able to cycle, and he just has cancer, and that's it. And he said he signed off and so on. So anyway, how do I feel about that? I feel that she has a option or the right to walk her own path and moving to her demise, moving to the time when she's no longer a human being on this earth, moving to a time when she no longer has the ability to express herself and in feelings and so on. Things that I will miss a lot about her. Let's see, we've been together for 66 years. Now that's pretty much it's not a record, but it's getting close there. And in those 66 years, there has been many ups and downs, and they would claim that I'm responsible for most of it, and that's probably true. But let me explain what feelings are from a scientific point of view, or from a logistic point of view. Feelings, there's emotions in a human being that are anxiety and depression and so on. And we often, depending on the circumstances that we're in, we often interpret those as feelings this way or that way. Like if you have anxiety because something wonderful has happened to you and you see it as being wonderful, those are wonderful feelings. If you have something that happens to you that's very gloomy, dismal, and not something you would have wished for, those are depressed feelings, and they're feelings that you can interpret as bad. Remember that humans interpret feelings. They interpret what their state is with respect to uh, the situation they happen to be in and the history that they have enfolded around it. But I will miss things like refilling the toilet paper bucket near the potty, and I will miss. Although I complain a lot about people who are telling me what to do all the time, I will miss that from her, and I don't know that there's a replacement for that, but I think that there might be. I will wake up in the middle of the night and feel a loss. I already feel it because she's in a separate bed and I have no opportunity to reach over and touch her and have her touch me and then we play a while, that sort of thing. I don't have that opportunity now as she moves toward her body saying, "Enough, sister, you're about time to come on board here and you don't get to play with all those things that you used to. You don't get to enjoy all those things that you used to."
So Ivan, I have a question for you.
I don't have any answers.
You might have an answer to this one.
This could be an X-rated podcast. Just if there are any children listening, please leave the room.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
So, do you feel like, because we all have, right now, we all have the experience of the living.
I experience what?
We are not actively dying. We are not on hospice. So we have the experience of those who are going to stay behind. Like, the other person will move on, we will stay here. Do you feel like when you have somebody that you love in hospice or that is nearing death, do you feel that you or us, that we have any obligation to cater more towards the wants and needs of that dying person? For example, if that person said, "Hey, I really need you to sit and hold my hand for an hour today." Do you feel like that's something that you'd be more willing to do or more likely to do simply because they're passing? Or like, do you feel like we are obligated to cater more towards that person and their wants and needs because they're near death?
Well, the idea of that you have to be sick to get lots of attention is not a good one, because that's the ultimate suggestion that you be sick more, and I don't want to do that. And I think that what was your question?
Do you feel like, we're talking about Sharon, so I want to talk about Sharon. Do you feel like because she's dying, the things that she asks for hold a little bit more weight now than they did maybe a month ago?
Oh, probably, yeah. Yeah, it depends on what
Holding
you
her
ask
hand,
for,
just sitting
yeah.
in there and holding her hand.
I think that is limited. I think sitting in there and holding her hand is, if she would like that, I would be happy to do it, but I don't think
Rosa or Rosa?
Sorry. That's my daughter.
that we have, we're obligated to do that. If we feel like holding her hand or suggesting that to her that we would like to hold her hand, I think that's very proper and good. But just to go hold her hand or go do stuff for her without her wanting that or taking the time in her own space for that to occur, I don't think she would want that. Yeah, I wouldn't want it. I would want I would want space. I would want time. I would want to have that time to be have some solace to communicate with people that are not here, or solace to communicate with, well, for instance, your inner self, if you want to call it that, through maybe some prayer and stuff of that nature. I think, yeah, I would welcome that. However, I resist the idea of people just glomming onto a person that is sick and trying to die. But on the other hand, it does show that they care a lot, and so I think there's some piece somewhere in there to satisfy both, to satisfy the person that is dying and the person that is witnessing the transition. And often that's the curative part of that, is the person that is wishing for this feeling the transition. In other words, you ask about feelings. Well, do you feel like you should go and spend a whole lot more time with her because she's dying? Is that what you feel that you're responsible for? Or not? You know, it's
Is it a difficult thing? Because I know you're very analytical, scientific.
I'm pretty stupid sometimes.
No, but I mean, you are scientific, and you're very, very black and white, very, very analytical, right? And so, I guess I would take you back to a memory a year ago where, when you were in a rehab facility, there was a panic when we weren't there. And there was a time where we weren't sure if you were going to get out of that rehab facility.
There was?
Yeah. And if you can't remember that, that makes it sad for me, because that's why Mark and my schedule was what it was.
Yeah.
So there is something that when we're close to end of life, there's a fear there, even if you're relaxed with it and you're prepared for it. So I don't know that trying to guess what that person wants, because the path of dying is also about the living, and it's very much for the living, because the dying is happening regardless of what the living do. And so I do think there's a piece of that that is important for the living. I wonder for you if that's a struggle for you a little bit, because there are you do go to the scientific side of the feelings. And that's how you process it. But you know,
let's bridge that a little bit, right? So when we started this conversation, Ivan, you kind of mentioned depression and anxiety and these very human-esque emotions that surround death. Do you yourself realize those emotions in yourself, or because you know they're there, do you not tap into them?
I do have the emotions in myself. First of all, my mother and my father died.
Mm-hmm.
I had some pretty strong emotions about that, especially when my father died.
Yeah.
My mother, I saw her passing as a kind of a gleeful sort of thing. We miss her, but she's going to be better off, and she will see her folks and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But my father, there were undone things, and that that's what saddened me, was that there were undone things in his passing. And
So that being the case, your father passes arguably too young when he has more to accomplish, whereas your mother, it felt like a little bit more of a relief because she's moving on to the next plane. How would you compare your wife's passing with those two experiences? Is this just a rite of passage and she is going to enjoy a sweet release in the next X amount of days, or has she left unsaid things on the table? Are there unsaid conversations that kind of trend further to your father's passing, or is it more like your mother as your wife begins to transition?
somewhere in between. I think it would be, well, kind of like more my father passing, and then my mother passing. Because to me, Mom was just, she had it all figured out what was going to happen with her, and she was happy with it, I would say, and I spent a little time with her, not very much, but a little time with her, and it just seemed like she was ready to go get with her parents and whoever, and Dad and whoever was there, but to compare it is somewhat difficult.
So how does it fall in the middle? What do you still feel as compared to your dad?
Yeah.
What is unfinished
Or unsaid.
or unsaid? What is not quite right with Sharon, with your wife?
The fact that we couldn't what's an example was how are you separate from them, like from Dad. I was considered an alcoholic and probably was, and we considered Dad an alcoholic, and he may have been. However, when I broached the subject with him, it was like he went to treatment for the family. It wasn't for himself at all. And one of the things you have to do in alcoholism, supposedly, is you gotta do it for yourself, as well as your family, because there's a big project there to do. And that was a disappointment for me, because I saw there an area that we could be together about something, and maybe even go to an AA meeting, or he wouldn't have any of that. Now he spent, and not to call him down for anything, but this is just was his way. He was a very religious man in a way, and he would read the Bible a lot during his treatment, and pay more attention to that than to pay attention to say what was going on in group or that sort of thing.
How does that cross over to your wife?
How's it cross over to my wife?
That's where you started.
There's some unfinished business there, but it's unfinished business that she has, and not that I have.
Is there a way to help her with that? For you to be a part of that with her?
Oh, it's too late. What I mean here, let me say what it is. it's you know what Al-Anon is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually the person who is uh, supporting the alcoholic who is getting treatment and so on. Where was I going with that?
Helping mom with her unfinished business.
Yeah, she had unfinished business. I shouldn't be talking about family business on TV.
You might help somebody on the other side.
Uh, her unfinished business had to do with her father
Mm.
and her mother. Mostly her father.
Mm-hmm.
There was some significant bad medicine, I'll call it that, in there, and that was hard for her to get over,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know that she ever did. She had with regard to alcoholics,
Mhm.
for instance, she had a particular feeling about them doing that
Mhm.
behavior.
Right.
And you know, she it was just something that she couldn't quite grab, you know.
Mhm.
That was one thing, and there was other things within the families, within her family and within my family. And
But you know, you can't control her past.
I
But what
can't,
no,
I can't
and
control
none
it.
of us can. But what we can control is helping her move to the next journey. And there's an important piece of that you can be a part of, and the, you know, the fear that she has a little bit around some of that. Look, here's my view of this. As hard as she has been over the years, um, I believe in every fiber of my body that there is no human, not even your parents, on this earth that would have ever loved you more than her. And I believe that. And that you were lucky that she chose you. There have been mistakes within that, right?
Yeah.
But most of those mistakes would have made most people pack their shit and run. And instead, you know, she chose to torture you a bit. But, you know, the reason was because there is no human on this earth that would have ever loved you more than her. And as her child, I have been able to witness that.
Yeah.
So for that reason, it has nothing to do with the way you feel about her. It has to do with the way she has felt about you.
Oh, and the way you feel about that relationship.
The way that I feel about that relationship as my parents,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So to guess whether or not a person wants their hand held or just sit in there and watch your movies, to guess what that person wants doesn't feel great. Instead, just go in there and try it
Or ask.
or ask.
She's still coherent enough that you can have conversations with her. Some
Yeah.
people don't get that. There are a lot of people on hospice who are in comas, and they will never talk again. What Sharon's dying process right now is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to have moments like this with her is a blessing. And I'm not saying that to make you feel any sort of way. It's just
The truth.
the truth of what I've experienced through dying and death and people and what I'm witnessing here. It feels like a blessing. And I
Yeah.
think that
Well, okay. Yeah, That's what you're coming up with is your feelings.
Mhm.
Yes.
And, and, uh, and you might guess at what my feelings might be, but they might not be accurate.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to talk about feelings because, again, your feelings are yours, mine are mine, Ellie's are Ellie's, Shelby's are Shelby's, and we all have a different pile of them, right? And so maybe somebody watching this podcast would be able to say, oh, well, that's an interesting take on feelings, or whatever.
I think also, like, coming at this with, like, how we're all feeling about it, I think that kind of, like, wraps back to my first question of, are we obligated to put aside some of our feelings in order to help her? Because she's the one that will end up passing away.
Yeah.
So, like, as much as we can, yes, we are all going to have our feelings. When do her feelings come into consideration and maybe have more weight than how we're feeling?
More weight to.
To her feelings. Because when she is not of this earth anymore, her
Yeah.
feelings will not be here for us to think about necessarily.
Oh.
So, at what point do her feelings hold a little bit more weight than our feelings day to day? At what point is that?
So, Ivan, you're a very analytical individual, and I think, as a man, it's very easy to approach situations like this from an analytical standpoint. Someone is sick, therefore we react in a certain way. And I don't think that's wrong. I think it's a lens in which you're observing the situations that play out, which I think is valid. I think that the reason hospice becomes such a heavy environment is because you have basically put a timer on the time we have left. Therefore, like I feel like feelings is kind of a bad word, only because of the generation you come from, and men are not always as open or leaning into their feelings as we would like to admit.
Right.
Right? We kind of hide that, and then all of a sudden, like, something happens, and it has to do with feelings. We don't mention the feelings. It's the fact the car didn't start. I'm not mad at you. The car didn't start, right?
Yeah.
Well, it has nothing to do with the car at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think we're in this scenario now where the timer is ticking. So whatever conversations you feel you need to have with Sharon have to happen soon, because you're going to miss your window on any of those conversations.
Yeah.
Now, if those conversations are leaning into how she feels or these unresolved issues with the bad medicine and family, I think that it becomes our job as a unit to try to get her comfortable with what happened. My dad was an alcoholic and treated me really, really poorly for many years. That was his path. So we can't go back and fix him, right?
No, she's saying that about her dad. He's saying that about mom's
Or
dad.
in general, right? Like
Yeah.
we all follow these paths, and though it's right to blame others for those situations at times, at the end of the day we can't go rewrite that experience, nor can we get the apology from that individual once they pass on. Maybe in the next life we get that apology, but I think our goal becomes, how do we allow this transition of life where Sharon can go and meet the Maker in a way where she is comfortable in the experience that she has had, right? And if that has to do with talking about the bad medicine, I think that those are conversations that have to be expedited because we're running out of time. I feel as if you are kind of being attacked right now, and it's because we are kind of projecting what we think you should feel. And I feel you're kind of putting your hackles up because of that. Because it's not our place to tell you how to move or how to act or how to feel. But I think what we're concerned about is making sure Sharon has the most effortless transition into this next phase of her existence. So I think that that is partly what's bubbling up in this podcast. How would you feel? What's the empathy if you're laying in the bed? And I think that those different conversations that have come from here are all building to the same end goal, which is, how can we help this individual that we've loved, that you've spent 66 years with, into this next plane in a way where she feels as comfortable as she can be. And what I've seen in Sharon in the last 2 weeks, to speak from my perspective, is for months she's been very much fighting, right? She's fighting the pain. She's fighting the fact that her neck hurts. She's fighting, and right now she's at a place of peace. You go and you speak to her, and she's up. She's she's smiling. She's lifting. She's kind. And I think that kind of speaks to the transition she's going through, where, you know, she was fighting death, and now she's beginning to accept the inevitable demise that she's going to have. So I charge this group to try to help her in that transition, because if there are skeletons in the closet, if there are unsaid conversations, let's have them now. Let's have them soon, because you won't get that opportunity. And much like we look back at your father's passing and say, he died too young, I wish we had this conversation, I wish you realized, I wish you wished. Let's not send Sharon off and have those same regrets that we have here today.
Yeah, no.
That, and because you have been with her longer than anybody else, you might be the most
Powerful.
impactful, powerful. You probably get to wear that crown. None of the rest of us can say that we've been with her for 66, 67 years.
I know what her background pretty much is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's.
There's no right or wrong.
There is no right or wrong, but it's tough. Like this is not easy for anyone. Anytime we're in a situation like this, you know, you worry about what you say and how it's going to impact individuals around you. But at the end of the day, like, I think what I see when I see your wife is, oh man, like, time will catch us all. Like, we will all have to go through this.
Yeah.
And what would I prefer in that situation? What would I want to have happen? And I think that goes back to your previous comment, Ivan. You know, you're almost projecting your feelings on what they should feel, right? We don't know what Sharon wants out of the next 6 months or whatever that number is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's up to her to kind of.
6 months.
Well, you know, I do little. I wouldn't say they're guidance, but they're little. Openings for her to talk or not talk about stuff. And what I hear some people say that she's not ready to die is a opening for me to kind of broach the subject in some way that could be helpful to her. And so, yeah, that.
And I know that when you initially moved out here and we started doing this podcast, a lot of the content we were covering was, what is the next plane? What is the next existence?
Yeah.
You know, there was very much a dive into different religions and how they perceive death and what does that look like? And I think what you find, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but what you find through those studies is that there's no definite answer. So we have to choose a path that we choose to believe, and then have to be right with that choice in our decision and lean into it. And I don't know what that is for sure. And I know you guys have been religious for years, so maybe it's time to read your favorite passages or dive down on some of those passages that kind of revolve around the passing of an individual. Again, I'm not trying to tell you how to do it, but I know that was something that sparked your interest years ago, and it might be the time to tap some of those efforts you put in.
Yeah. Something I wonder about and try to trigger little conversations about is this principle of karma.
Mm-hmm.
Now, karma, you know, it doesn't mean you come back as cats or dogs or any of that sort of stuff. There's a specific meaning to karma. And what she's going through now and what she will go through in the next life and what she has gone through before may have some relevance to her karma.
Mhm.
And I don't know what that is.
Mhm.
I couldn't describe that to her.
Mhm.
It's not my place to discover what that. I would discover what it was little by little,
Mhm.
but
I'll tell you one thing that is weird for me, but is calm for me. There's only one person on this planet that I have to hear it's going to be okay from, and that's my husband. And if he says it's going to be okay, no matter what it is, no matter what it is, I am calm. But I have to hear him say it's going to be okay.
what's going to be okay?
Whatever it is, if we've got issues with our kids or anything, if he says it's going to be okay, I'm calm. So maybe she needs to hear it's going to be okay from the one person that may make her feel that way. And I don't know why. But if that dude says it's going to be okay, I'm all right. But if he questions it, I will mother F myself until I'm like, oh no, wheels are falling off the bus. Shit, Mark doesn't think it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, that's maybe something, and I'm not putting feelings onto you. I'm just saying maybe she needs to hear that. Whatever that means. Because there is a peace in it that you can move forward on whatever your next plan is.
Except that it's going to be okay has to have a referent.
Not really. You're male and female. Not really. Mark, no. If he says it's going to be okay, whether he believes it is or not, he's going to do everything in his power to make sure it's okay. And I know that. Whatever it is.
Oh,
And
that's-
whether it's that Mark can just be with you through whatever
Whatever,
is
yeah.
really terrible.
And I have no idea why that is the way it is.
Well,
It's
But-
not necessarily that you're going to fix whatever.
No.
It's the mindset behind I'm gonna walk with you while you go through this.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it together. You will not be alone.
Just like some people believe that the only way to heaven is through the blood of Christ. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe heaven is heaven and you get there. And I believe it's the human that's created the blood of Christ story.
Like
oh,
do you believe, Ivan, that whatever journey that Sharon is about to go through, do you believe that she'll be okay on the other side?
Yeah, I do.
There you go. So,
There's,
yeah.
That's what I was trying to get her to believe, that no matter what happens, there's going to be some good on the other side. She may have some things to learn, but it's going to be good. That's why I wanted to read a piece from the Bhagavad Gita. Excuse me, my mouth is dry.
Bhagavad Gita.
The Song of,
Bhagavad Gita.
Song of God, which is Hindu, but it still has something to say about the transition, what happens with people when they die, and what are your losses, if any. You know, it even addresses the criminal as being a personage who has things to work out, but it doesn't say that they're wiped out forever. It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
And it's important for people to realize. I don't think our culture realizes that at all. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. It's coming out of the culture. What is the thing to believe? And it's yeah.
Well,
My feelings, though, are I'm gonna miss her. I love her. I'm gonna miss her, and there will be things in your daily life, like what I mentioned was who fills the toilet rolls in the thing, and do they put it on this way or that way? Does it come over the top or under? And people have ideas about that and what they think. But yeah, I'll miss a lot of things. She'll like I said, she considered she bitches at me, but that's all right. There's some things I need to be bitched at, and but some things I don't. Some things just go too far, and so well, do I make an issue with it, or do I say just let it pass? Do I just let it go and we deal with it some other way, or not deal with it, or it just kind of disintegrates into gravel or whatever it is, and so on. But yeah, and she would have a lot of issues with me. I've not been the best boy that there possibly could be. So
that's all yesterday, right? And I
it's
think
all
all yesterday, and I think what we learned by talking to you this morning about your feelings is that, it's difficult to put someone's feelings on someone else, but I
don't want to do that.
you don't want to do that, but it's also okay to tell somebody that has given you 66 years it's going to be okay,
Yeah.
because really that might be all she needs to hear,
Yeah.
because she obviously trusts you,
Yeah. The question
or she would
is,
have dumped your ass a long time ago.
well, okay, that's a whole nother
But you know what I mean?
discussion. Yeah. Uh-huh.
She does, and she loves you, so that's good.
Yeah.
So heavy.
And I think you and people that know her expect me to behave in certain ways around it, and I don't necessarily behave in those ways.
Yeah.
I behave in my own way.
Mhm.
I have my own feelings, if you will. But
Yes, I'm learning a lot.
huh?
I'm learning a lot,
Yeah.
and it's all good for my repertoire of life.
yeah. Oh, good. Good.
So,
Yeah.
yes, so much. So let's talk at our next podcast about something lighter.
Kiss the ones you love.
Kiss the ones you love, gang.
Take care of yourself also. If you are going through anything like this,
Yeah.
you matter too.
Yeah.
You do matter.
Kiss the ones you love. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and let people off the hook.
Yeah.
Let people off the hook.
Forget
Don't
it.
put them on the hook.
Well,
Yeah.
they put themselves on the hook
They
sometimes,
do,
so.
They do put themselves on the hook, yeah.
All right. Say
All right.
goodbye.
Say goodbye, Ivan.
See you next time. Be a week or a few weeks, but
We're
we'll
not
see
sure.
you next time. And, you might get some thoughts about some of the stuff that's been discussed today and see if that applies to you or whether it doesn't. But More than likely it does some, so.
I
yeah.
like that.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.